What's up guys, welcome to the GC journey. In this video I would like to share with you what it cost me to build this 400 wheel horsepower capable Subaru Impreza GC8. The reason I emphasize me is because, well, two reasons actually. The first one is because once we go through the entire list of mods, then you'll probably realize that a lot of the mods that I needed you might not necessarily need as well. And the second reason is because there's more than one path to making this amount of horsepower, which I will also explain after going through the entire list. So this list of parts is strictly what is required for making 400 wheel horsepower. So this does not include handling, reliability or safety mods. This is just for making the horsepower, but I'll add a few supporting and reliability mods at the end of the list. So starting with the short block, STI EJ207. I'll have the part number on screen for you, $2,600 US. Side note, all the prices that I'll be mentioning in this list are just prices of the parts that I found on random websites at the time of filming this video. So this is roughly what it would cost you today if you wanted to do, copy paste of this entire build. Built heads, so these are just the standard non-AVCS heads that were built. That means we have upgraded valves, dual springs, titanium retainers, keepers, valve guides, valve seals, uprated cams, which brings us to a total of $3,226 US. And to fit the heads onto the short block, I used RCM 11mm head studs, which cost $488 US, and RCM 1.5mm head gaskets, $179 US. So just the short block heads, head studs, and head gaskets come to a total of $6,493 US. Next up, we have RCM header and up pipe kit, $900 US. Turbo is a Garrett GTX 2860 Gen 2 turbo with the teal .82 exhaust housing. That was $1,915 US. Another teal product, 38mm external wastegate, $355 US. I had to pay a fabricator another $1,500 US so that the external wastegate will have a flange on the up pipe and the turbo fit with its V-bend flange on the exhaust side housing. So he modified the up pipe, the existing up pipe, and he modified the down pipe. Turbo Smart Race Port blow-off valve, $330 US. Definitely not required to make 400 wheel horsepower. You could probably get away with a factory blow-off valve. Not sure actually, but that's what I have on the car right now, so it's going in the list. IAG TGV deletes, I don't know if you can buy these today. I bought these a long time ago. What IAG offers today is listed on their website for $336 US. So that's one of the options available for you. IG high flow fuel rails, $220 US. You can still find them on their website. RCM parallel fuel line kit, $340 US. Injector dynamics, 1050X injectors, $546 US. Fuel Lab fuel pressure regulator, $216 US. Fuel Lab high flow fuel filter, $188 US. Walbro 450 fuel pump, $118 US. 3-bar map sensor, all sorts of brands make them. I personally was running at the time a Link map sensor, so the 3-bar map sensor by Link goes for $125 US. A flex fuel sensor, $205 US. Standalone ECU, so I currently have the Haltech Elite 1500, and I currently have a custom engine bay harness here, but it is definitely not required to make the power. And so if you get the Haltech Elite 1500 with a plug-and-play like adapter harness to make it fit your factory OEM wiring harness, then that would cost you a total of $2,059 US. Process West top mount intercooler, $911 US. Process West cold air intake, $330 US. Tuning plus dyno time, $800 US. And that, my friends, brings us to a total of $17,887 US. Now, I listed another 6 mods for supporting the power, so they're recommended but not necessary. But before we get into them, I would like to say 2 things about this list. So first of all, is this the most reliable way to make the power? No, I was just listing out the parts to make the power. You will definitely want to look at things like engine protection strategies, you know, monitoring your coolant temperature, oil temperature, intake air temperature. If you're going to be making that much power, that is the first thing I would definitely recommend. The second thing is, can you make this power for less? Definitely, because first of all, you don't have to get a standalone ECU. You can reflash the factory ECU, so you definitely don't need to get a standalone ECU. That would already save quite a lot. Do you have to go parallel fuel line setup? Definitely not. I know people who have made 400 wheel horsepower and they kept all the factory fuel rails and fuel lines. They just upgraded the fuel injectors. And I also know someone who made over 400 wheel horsepower with the factory STI top mount intercooler. Okay, so definitely possible to make 400 wheel horsepower not using all the mods on this list. I'm just sharing what I had to do, or what I did, in order to be able to make 400 wheel horsepower. Now there are 6 more mods I would recommend doing if you're going to be chasing those power numbers. First of all, colder spark plugs. So higher cylinder pressure, higher cylinder temperature. You're going to want to upgrade to colder spark plugs to lower the chance of detonation or pre-ignition. So a set of spark plugs is like $40 US. New ignition coils. It of course depends on how old or new your car is. If your car is a bit on the older side and you don't know what the state of your ignition coils are. When we first went to tune my car, so we did have a bit of problems at the higher end of the RPM after changing the coils, so that sorted that problem. So that is why it is another thing I recommend. New ignition coils, the factory, the OEM ones from Subaru, cost around $360 US. Aftermarket timing belts. Can the OEM timing belt hold 400 wheel horsepower? Probably could, but I don't know if I would recommend it. I wouldn't feel safe, I wouldn't feel comfortable with a factory timing belt with that amount of horsepower. A Gates uprated timing belt costs around $160 US. Definitely worth it for the peace of mind, for the reliability, if you're going to be making that much horsepower. Next on the list is gearbox. Now, the reason I say gearbox is because first time I went to tune my car, I was running the factory 5-speed gearbox. I can't remember how many Newton meters the car made, but it was well under 300 wheel horsepower. And while the car was running on the dyno, during one of the power pulls, third gear just shut itself into oblivion. And so you're going to have to upgrade your gearbox. The factory 5-speed gearbox will probably not handle 400 wheel horsepower. I wouldn't count on it, I wouldn't feel safe. So just the gearbox, the shifter and the drive shaft, that would be around $3,000 US. Oh, that's more or less what it cost me. So clutch. You'll need a clutch, 400 wheel horsepower. The factory clutch, if it doesn't slip right away, then it won't last very long. Uprated clutch that can hold 400 wheel horsepower is about $700 US. It's the one I have here. Last modification I would recommend are brake pads and better tires, because as Uncle Ben from Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. Then now that your vehicle is making 400 wheel horsepower, it means it accelerates a lot faster than what you were probably used to, and so that means that you might have to brake a lot faster. So again, just going through websites online and looking at different brake pads and tires. Decent set of pads would be around $300 US. Decent set of tires would be around $1,000 US. So that's another $1,300 US. And so including all the supporting mods to make your car a little bit more safer and more reliable, that brings us to a grand total of $23,447 US. Yeah, don't know if it's starting to get hot or it's just my Jewish genes kicking in. Now before you go, there are 2 things I would like to say about this list, because it can be a bit overwhelming. It's a huge list, not cheap at all. And so there are another 2 things that I would like you to take away from this video. The first thing is that I'm not a wealthy person, so it took me literally years to acquire all the parts on the list I just mentioned. For example, some of the parts that I bought around 2018, 2019, I only got to fit them on the car at around 2022, more or less, because I was acquiring all the parts along the way till I managed to get them all. and then I could fit them, I could start the project and fit them on the car and everything. So if you're in a situation that was similar to mine, whatever your goal is, make the list of parts required to reach that goal. Slowly acquire all the parts, like, you know, save up for a month or two, buy one part, save up for another month or two, buy a second part, accumulate all the parts till you reach that goal. That is what I did. That is something that I can recommend you do as well if you have such ambitions and you can't really afford it at this time. So that's one thing I did. Second thing, most of the parts on the list that I mentioned are based in like the US, the UK, Australia, all countries of which none of them I live in. And so this list probably cost me about twice as much because I had to add like shipping and taxes and that kind of stuff. So depending where you're from in the world, that could be an advantage or disadvantage, like in my case. Another thing to take into consideration if you're thinking of doing a similar type of build. That is probably more or less what it will cost you if you would like to do a copy-paste of this build. So those are the parts that I got in order to make this Subaru 400 wheel horsepower capable, and I'll probably be doing a separate video with a full build breakdown because there are a lot more mods that need listing, but I felt it was a bit long for one video, so definitely subscribe if you would like to see that. You can click on this video if you'd like to see all the new upgrades that have gone into the GC, besides all the stuff that I mentioned. And that is all for this video, so thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see you in the next one.